principal may indicate so through submitting their names to the clerk so that we'll have a record for the purpose of tomorrow's engagement and subsequent days.
But, Mr. Speaker, we have not received copies of the budget.
Are you the one to complain? It is within your own schedule of office. So except if you want to report yourself, they are sleeping on duty.
Mr. Speaker,
He is the one that's supposed to do that, so he should not be the one to throw.
Mr. Speaker, we
Yes,
have
sir.
not received copies of the budget, and so what? So what about that? If you are business, you should have made provision for each and every member here to have a copy of the budget ab initio. So you cannot even pass the blame to the Chairman House Committee on Appropriation. I think Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business is sleeping on duty, Mr. Speaker. And I think you should invoke relevant. What do you mean?
I think
You should invoke relevant.
Nnoli will not be the person to throw that. Because
Nnoli.
if there is any chairman that have enjoyed the cooperation of this parliament, whether his report is ready and submitted to members or not, no matter how bulky it is, parliament have always sat on your own report and consider by fiat. And so that cooperation is expected for you also to extend to other chairmen of committees. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm just passing a comment.
Mr. Speaker,
I just made a referral and recall the bills we passed for you. NCAA, Action Investigation Bureau, FAN. Yes, courtesy the chairman of the committee. The budget is for Nigerians too. Thank you.
is that why we are not discussing the...
No, you will have your copy. By the grace of God, it will be given to you.
So what is Chairman Rules and Business talking about?
No, he was just informing us that he is still cooperating between himself and their integrity between himself and the chairman of appropriation.
I thought it's
Thank you.
You say he's sleeping on duty.
I think it was a slip of tongue. Thank you.
Okay, he has a...
Respected colleagues, the ninth order of the day is a motion on the committee of bills standing in the name of Abubakar Fulata. Honorable Adegun is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Fulata. I represent Birniwa Creek Assembly Defender Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the committee of a bill. The House requires that the Customs and Excise Management Act Repeal and Enactment Bill 2021, House Bill 1729, was passed by the National Assembly and transmitted to the President for assent. Note that some observations in clauses 4B, 7 sub 2, 7 sub 3, 10 sub 1A, 10 sub 1B, 12, 14 sub 1G, 16 sub 3, 17 sub 4, 18 sub 1, 18 sub 3, 18 sub 6C, 111 sub 3, 165 sub 5A, 117 sub 1A, 171, 175 sub 1 sub 2, 180, 181, 184, 189, 194, 279, 181, and the schedules are arisen that requires further legislative action. Appreciates the need to recommit the clauses for reconsideration in order to achieve the intent of the enactment. House resolved to rescind its decision on the clauses of the bill as passed and commit same to the Committee of the Whole for reconsideration. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Pastor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My distinguished members, my name remains James Adisawolabi, representing the good people of Ifakoja Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Fulata. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Respected colleagues, please, Honorable Flatter, ensure that the President's speech is distributed to every parliamentarian. Even if the copy of the budget is not ready, at least on the general principle from the budget, the President's speech is sufficient areas for, of study for members to contribute. Thank you. Flatter. The 10th order of the day is a motion on call to investigate the recruitment, staff quota, and promotion process at the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, standing the Honorable Awaji, Abiante, and one other. All members, Honorable Pella is invited to move the motion.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, my distinguished colleagues. I am Awaji Nombek Dagomie Abiante. I represent Andoni, Opobo, Nkoro Federal Constituency. Arise to move the motion on a call to investigate the recruitment, staff quota, and promotion process at the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, along with my brother, Dumnamine Deko. The House notes that the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, is primarily charged with the responsibility to maintain peace and order, protection of public infrastructure, and rescuing of civil population during an emergency. The House also notes that recent reports indicate that the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has not been observing the principles of federal character in its recruitment process, thus marring the corps with irregularities, racketeering, favoritism, and nepotism. The House is also aware that the recent recruitment exercise by the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps were marred with favoritism and abuse of federal character principles, where the management team used their position and influence in high places of authority to recruit family members, as reported that the recruitment exercise was done without advertisement, with over 90 employment letters returned to the headquarters from Imo State, as those who were to receive their letters did not show up, and that those slots were reported to belong to River State indigents. The House is cognizant of the fact that in 2021, the Joint Committee on Security and Public Service of the Bauchi State House of Assembly, led by Honorable Sabo Bako Sade, recommended outright rejection of the recruitment exercise as being fraudulent, which resolution the Bauchi State House Assembly adopted and communicated same to the NSCDC headquarters. The House is also cognizant of the judgment of the Sokoto State High Court, which sentenced two officials of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Menasera Malami and Emmanuel Salihu, respectively, to 14 years imprisonment for defrauding 4 persons of 1.9 million naira under the pretext of securing jobs for them. This House is worried that this ugly precedent has become a frequent occurrence in the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and currently, indigenes of other states are being employed, promoted, and allocated the place of River State indigenes. I therefore call on this House to resolve to mandate the committees on interior, federal character, and public service matters to investigate the recruitment, the staff quota, and promotion exercises carried out by the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps over a period of 10 years, and report back to this House within 6 weeks for further legislative action. I so move.
Yes, sir. Ali, I suppose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Ali Adeyemi Taufik. I represent Mushi 1 Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleague, I rise to second the motion as moved by my very good friend, Honorable Abianti. I so second. Thank you, sir.
Do I put the question? Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Respected colleagues, the 11th order of the day is a motion on call to investigate the statutory functions of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Commission in the areas of revenue allocation, data collection and verification, provision of indices for distribution to state by Accountant General of the Federation, and alleged infraction of administration of the Federal Ministry of Finance, standing in the no Honorable Mark Billa. Mark Tesabilla, honorable members, Honorable Mark Billa is invited with the motion. There are so many.
Please order, please. Chairman, Public Accounts. Chairman, Ted Pon.
Do we have any chairman Ted phone?
Chairman, Tertiary Education and Ted Pon.
Oh, there's another committee.
Thank you very much, the Right Honorable Speaker, my very honorable colleagues. My name is Mark Tesegbila. I represent Gwe East, Gwe West Federal Constituency of Benue State. I rise to move a motion on the call to investigate the statutory functions of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Commission, RAMFAC, in the areas of revenue allocation, data collection and verification, provision of indices for disbursement to states by the Accountant General of the Federation, and alleged infraction of administration by the Federal Ministry of Finance. The House notes that paragraph 32 of Part 1 of the third schedule to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, and Section 6 of the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation, and Fiscal Commission Act 2004 outline the powers of the Commission, which amongst others include review from time to time the revenue allocation formula and principles in operation to ensure conformity with changing realities. Paragraph 32B of Part 1 to the third schedule to the 1999 Constitution as amended further states that provided that any revenue formula which has been accepted by an act of the National Assembly shall remain in force for not less than 5 years from the date of commencement of the act. The House is aware that in performing its statutory mandate, RAMFAC is responsible for the provision of a horizontal and vertical revenue allocation formula, the collection, verification, maintenance, and usage of data utilized for the computation of indices for disbursement of revenue from the Federation account with regards to the horizontal and vertical revenue allocation formula and indices for disbursement of the 13% derivation funds by the Accountant General of the Federation. This data is required to be obtained from the 36 states and the 774 local government areas of the Federation by RAMFAC. The House is worried about Nigeria's current utilization of the same vertical and horizontal revenue allocation formula and allocation principles, which were instituted during a military regime 3 decades ago in 1992, when 6 states and 185 local government areas were created, and Nigeria's population rose from 88 million to over 200 million. And the current national clamor for restructuring, devolution of powers, and true federalism amid the obvious changing realities of insecurity and socioeconomic hardships across the country, contrary to the above-mentioned statutory provisions, including Section 162(2) of the 1999 Constitution as amended. The House is also worried that RAMFAC's new proposal to the President in April 2022 for a revenue allocation formula is for vertical revenue allocation alone and is alleged to have utilized the over 30-year-old allocation principles and recent data that is inaccurate and unverified, with no consideration being made at the moment for the more contentious horizontal allocation formula, which determines the actual impact on the lives of Nigerians in the federating units, and which is also alleged to currently being implemented with inaccurate and unverified data from which flawed indices are computed and utilized by the Accountant General for revenue disbursement, and other allegations that the actual indices utilized by the Accountant General for revenue disbursement to the states are sometimes at variance with those provided by RAMFAC because of inducement from the states. The House is also aware that the last time RAMFAC claimed to have undertaken a comprehensive review of the vertical and horizontal revenue allocation formula, which entailed collection and verification of data from the 36 states and 774 local government areas of the Federation, was in 2012. And this exercise was fraught with speculations about the accuracy and comprehensiveness of the exercise, considering allegations that several states were not visited at all because of the lack of RAMFAC's capacity to do so. And consequently, there are doubts about the comprehensiveness of the recent exercise embarked upon by RAMFAC in 2021, almost 10 years later, that culminated in the submission of the new revenue allocation formula proposal to the President in April 2022. The House is concerned that the inability of RAMFAC and the Presidency to provide a new and acceptable vertical and horizontal revenue allocation formula for adoption and enactment by the National Assembly at the intervals that were envisioned by the Constitution appears to have resulted in the administration of the Federation account by the Federal Ministry of Finance, RAMFAC, and other Federation Account Allocation Committee members in breach of statutory provisions of Section 162, 3, 4, 5, and 7 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which implies that infractions have been committed and might require appropriate sanctions. The House is also concerned about allegations that certain states unduly influenced RAMFAC and the Accountant General of the Federation to their advantage in the provision and utilization of data and computation of indices, and the utilization of indices for revenue disbursement, respectively, and the agitation by several states in the country about being shortchanged in revenue allocation, considering the present realities in their communities and the significant deduction from remittances to the Federation account by certain agencies of the federal government, which RAMFAC has statutory power to obtain related information from under the guise of cost of collection, which does not appear to be statutory or properly monitored and determined by RAMFAC and National Assembly. The House therefore resolves to mandate the Committee on Finance to investigate the following. 1, the accuracy of data provided by RAMFAC from the 36 states and 774 local government areas of the Federation that was used to compute the indices utilized for vertical and horizontal revenue allocation, including 13% derivation from 2012 to 2021, and the current nature of maintenance of these data. 2, the indices computed for each of the 36 states and 774 local government areas of the Federation by RAMFAC from 2012 to 2021 that were transmitted to the Accountant General of the Federation for revenue disbursement to the states from 2012 to 2021, including the parameters utilized to compute the indices. 3, the indices utilized by the Accountant General of the Federation for revenue disbursement to the 36 states and 774 local government areas of the Federation from 2012 to 2021, including details of the actual amount disbursed to each state for this period. 4, the actual amounts disbursed to the 36 states and 774 local government areas of the Federation from 2012 to 2021 from the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Federal Ministry of Finance. 5, the allocation principles utilized by RAMFAC in the proposal of new vertical allocation formula and consider the efficacy and suitability of same in line with current and changing realities and the proposed principles for a new horizontal allocation formula. 6, total remittance to the Federation account by related agencies of the federal government from 2012 to 2021, the cost of collection deducted for the entire period and the statutory backing for same and utilization from 2012 to 2021. And 7, the violation or otherwise by the Federal Ministry of Finance, CBN, and other members of the Federation Account Allocation Committee in the administration of the Federation account, considering provisions of Section 162, 3, 4, 5, and 7 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and report back within 8 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Chidoka.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Obinna Chidoka, member representing Idemili North, Idemili South Federal Constituency of Anambra State. I rise this afternoon, Right Honorable Speaker, to second this very important motion moved by my dear colleague, Honorable Mark Tesagbila. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
My respected colleagues, this is a very straightforward motion and very elaborate. Shall I put the question? Amendment? No, I think it's very elaborate. It's investigated. Thank you. We'll take amendment, then put the question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to speak to this motion. It's a very timely motion.
Is it to speak or to amend?
My amendment, sir.
Thank you.
My amendment, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is also to amend the prayers because this motion is asking for an investigation into not just the activities, but the law governing RAMFAC itself. So I want to amend that we include the Committee on Justice to the Committee on Finance to look at these matters. I so move, sir. It's not just finance.
And any seconder to the amendment? No, that's it. We should be, do our actions in accordance with our rules. If there's a motion on the floor, all that the chair should seek to find and ask for is a seconder. Once we have a seconder, we put the question. If there's a seconder, the motion automatically, it's not by saying no, that will. Any seconder to the amendment? Honorable Toby. He's already putting his mic on. I believe you want to second.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Toby Okechukwu is my name. I represent an area of Bojiri Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, this motion comes within the
seconder. We're asking for a seconder.
No, I don't want to. Committee on Justice should be part of the motion, be part of the investigation to enable it. Look at the statutory flavor. Excuse me. Mr. Speaker, our expectation when you are a leader and a member of this parliament, there are certain rules of conduct. I know Edo House of Assembly was not able to be inaugurated by indiscipline. And this member coming from Edo may have carried that nomenclature to the House.
I didn't get that.
I think you have, maybe you didn't hear me well.
Yes.
Members cannot be expected to be inchoate in this House. They should listen. We have rules of conduct. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I appreciate my colleagues, my members. And I know these are leaders that have been very distant, but in all sincerity, the depth of this motion, it has statutory flavor. And I believe that Committee on Justice will add that element to it. And I hereby second the motion as moved by Honorable Kuye. And his Deputy Chairman has rules, so he understands what the rules are like. Thank you very much.
Well, colleagues, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your tolerance. And I will now put the question. Those in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. Against, say nay. I should take the question again?
No.
Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion for the amendment. Those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. The next have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended, say aye. Against, say nay. The ayes have it. Colleagues, the 12th order of the day is consideration of a bill for an act to repeal the Customs Exercise Management Act Cap C45 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and other custom and exercise legislation, and enact the Nigerian Customs Service Act 2022 to provide for the reform of administration and management of custom and exercise in Nigeria and for related matters. All members recall that the bill was committed to Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, 11 October 2022. The leader will move for his consideration.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I'm Comrade Peter Ohiozojo Patterson, MNI, 2006. I represent the great people of Akoko Edo Federal Constituency, and I'm from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the bill for an act to repeal the Customs and Excise Management Act Cap C45, laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and other customs and excise legislation, and enact the Nigeria Customs Service Bill 2022 to provide for the reform of the administration and management of custom and excise in Nigeria and for related matters, HB 1729, be now considered. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
You want to move the next? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for the consideration, Mr. Speaker. I also move for a bill for an act to establish National Youth Service Corps Trust Fund for the purpose of providing a suitable source of funds for the National Youth Service Corps, skills acquisition, training and empowerment of Corps members, training and retraining of personnel of the National Youth Service Corps, development of camps and NYSC formation and facilities therein, and for related matters, HB 1795. And also the third one. And also a bill for an act to provide for ease of doing business and ensure transparency, efficiency, and productivity in Nigeria and for related matters. HB 2015 be now considered. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Seconder. Yes, sir. You are asking? At this stage, we are looking for a seconder. Seconder, sir. Yes. Cross. Yes, sir. Solo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My distinguished colleagues, Engineer Solomon Maren is my name, FNSC, and I represent the people of Mango Bokos Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I rise to second the motion for the consideration of the bill. I so second. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against any, that's have it. Leader move that will dissolve into committee of the whole to consider report.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, Comrade Peter Hionzoje Akpatasin MNI. I represent Akoko Federal Constituency. I'm from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I move that this House do resolve to committee of the whole to consider report. I so move.
Minority Leader. Minority Leader. You have the floor. You are supposed to protect the message, not to convey messages that you are not asked to.
A leader does not lead alone. He must consult those that is leading. So I was actually in a brief consultation regarding one of the bills.
Over IU's matter? Because I can see you consulting with no, I said regarding IU's matter.
Yeah. No, okay. No, regarding the fact that we came to a sudden understanding of how to discover those stealing our oil after 7 years. So that's.
I think that from what Tempolo said, if you had to take that statement from what Tempolo said, this is started far back 1999. So you know how it started.
No.
Thank you.
Our oil production had always
thank you. Thank you.
2 billion barrels.
But I'm using
we are at 700.
I'm using the interim report submitted by Tempolo.
We don't know what is happening to 1 million barrels per day.
Well, first, we thank him for the good job being done there.
We thank the Commander-in-Chief of the Niger Delta, Tompolo, for his discoveries. I hereby second that the House moves to the Committee of the Whole. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. House is hereby dissolved to committee of the whole to consider report. Sam, which side of the divide are you on? Which side of the divide? Are you for IU's one? Okay. I recognize by whose faction? Which faction? Thank you.
When are you constituting your campaign council? Your Excellency, Mr. Speaker, when is the campaign council?
You don't have the floor.
Well, the women can do the job for you.
Respected colleagues, the first bill to be considered is for an act to repeal the Custom and Excise Management Act, Cap C45, Laws of Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and customs and other customs and excise legislation, and enact the Nigerian Customs Service Act 2022 to provide for the reform of the administration of and management of customs and excise in Nigeria and for related matters. I now invite the leader to give the signature of the bill.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I would like to, since the chairman of the committee is here, I would like to yield the floor to the chairman to give the synopsis. Thank you very much, Chair.
It's not for chairman, it's for leader.
That's the way I lead this time around. Sometimes I lead by delegating, sir.
Oh, we don't have such. It's for leader, it's for him to receive the brief from the chair, not for leader to come to the floor to say, it's your responsibility.
I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Speaker.
I think it's simple.
Yes.
Thank you.
Particularly when the leader had the foreknowledge of the bill before coming here.
No, you should have foreknowledge as far as I'm concerned, and they are supposed to be protecting their business is to protect government interests. This is government interest.
In this case, I read it.
So, thank you.
Thank
Colleagues?
The leader of government business is ignorant of the bill.
No, don't use it.
Mr. Speaker, the leader is actually
Don't allow
not here.
He can hear the kind of words that are used on you.
The leader that gets that is not here.
Colleagues, this is a very straightforward bill. We had actually passed this bill. It's been returned to us for the third time. Based on observations, there are little just observations raised by the Attorney General regarding some words of use of words in the bill, and they are straightforward. Thank you. It is a very voluminous bill, but we have decided just to bring out the areas of observation for consideration, and they are marked on their as contained in your order paper. Thank you. I think it's straightforward, and the correction have not been done. Is for us to clean, just like it was done for my brother in Noli. This is the same situation. Thank you. I just made a statement.
Do me, I do you here.
I don't know. Thank you. Did you hear that? So, 4, carried. 7, carried. 10, 12, 14, 16. Sir, I did mention to you that it's quite very voluminous. So what we try to do is to bring out only the areas that have correction for consideration. And these are the closest I'm reading. Thank you. 70, yes. 101, 165. 170, 171, 175, 180, 184, 194, 281, 279, sorry, 281. Schedules. Explanatory memoranda and long title. Respected colleagues, the second bill to be considered for an act to establish the National Youth Service Corps Trust Fund for the purpose of providing sustainable source of funds for the National Youth Service Corps, skill acquisition, training and empowerment of corps members, training and training of personnel for the National Youth Service Corps, development of camps and NYC NYC formations and facilities therein and for related matter. Now I invite the leader to give the synopsis.
Mr. Chair, what we have before us is an establishment bill for establishing National Youth Service Corps Trust Fund to provide suitable means of funding for the very important NYSC. It contains about 32 clauses, and it is a fresh one meant to establish the source of funding for this service. And by the grace of God, the recommendations are quite clearly stated as contained in this document. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Honorable colleagues, I remain Uzoma Nkema Bonta. Mr. Chairman, for want of which rules to go to exactly, do I say explanation or privilege, but I want to bring to our notice yes. Like I was saying, I have just been also served with the papers we're going to consider. I've gone them scrupulously and opine that the House is seized with a power of appropriation, like we just witnessed the budget presentation just Friday. If my memory is anything to retain my go by, this will be about the 4th or 5th trust fund we are creating.
Sorry, sir. Can you speak to your mic? I'm not getting you quite.
Thank you for the protection. I'm saying we've just been served with the clauses of the bill we are supposed to consider now. Good, that's been what we've been practicing. And I'm saying that if my memory is what I can rely on, this is about the 4th or 5th trust funds we are creating. And I believe that the House, in its wisdom, creates these things upon necessity to fill a gap. The security trust fund we created was well applauded, very good, and so the police. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, if you look at this bill and the clauses, I understand it's a Senate bill coming to us for consideration. That means that we are not party to the full debate and all whatnot as a bill is mailed. Sorry? Also, okay. If you look at it now, NYC is long-standing. What is the gap that the trust fund tends to heal? What is the use of appropriation? We created police trust fund, correctional service, and so on. We see even fiscally the need, the deficit that we need a fund to keep. In NYC now, what is the problem that, what's the emergency, what's the problem, what's the deficit that we need a trust fund to keep? And they're asking for 0.2% of the consolidated revenue fund. I mean, NYC has been having excess fund. If we go to the memory lane, you can see that. So you have critical areas that budgetary position cannot be enough. In this instant case, they are not in need of budgetary provisions, and they said to train and retrain NYC. I'm trying to place a caution that if we are going to do this, we should look at the need assessment. Did anybody do the need assessment of NYC? If we are talking about ensuring the corpus for the 1 year, fine. But trying to raise money to do skill acquisition and all and so on, I think is superfluous. I think it will be overreaching. I think it will assume as we are confused, we don't know where to allocate funds. So we don't end up creating issues that will, I wouldn't say ridicule the parliament, but I would not take out looking serious if you agree with me, sir, as we should take a proper look at this bill, whether is it worthwhile? I'm sorry, this should not be time of debate, but is it worthwhile creating a fund, special fund for NYC to do what? I don't even know the terminal date of the such fund when created.
Well, my respected colleague, with due respect to my brother, and that is why I restrain myself to listen to you. But this particular bill has been debated on this floor of the House. It was debated, I think consideration done. Possibly it's one of those bills that have overstayed or is being returned to us. And I recall during the debate, if I can recall very well, the issues raised were that there's need for NYC to have funding, proper funding. You know that the streams of people who are now even waiting, and because of the scarcity of funds, there cannot be accommodation need for something like that, apart from the still acquisition. We are not on the general principle, we are not on the second reading, we are now at the point of constitutional report. If it is in the opinion of the House that they need to study to come back and do justice, it's different entirely in terms of the report. But what was done, it is a House bill. If I recall, the debate was led by the chairman, youth, in these particular instances. My memory is, I think, has not betrayed me. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno Nganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Chairman, you have made all the observations that I intend to make. Honorable Abonta is a very senior member of this House and at the same time a legal practitioner who by now should have been very conversant with our rules. At this stage, Honorable Abonta cannot be heard to debate this bill because we are past that stage. He should have raised this observation timeously during the period of second reading of this bill. But now we are at the stage of consideration. And it's a House bill that has been properly debated in this House. The debate was led by the chairman of the Youth Committee. It was passed, taken to Mr. President for assent. Some observations were made and is now being recommitted for consideration. So I think it is proper for us to look at the clauses, consider this bill, and then possibly pass it again for Mr. President for assent, especially against the backdrop of the fact that we need this fund for the purpose of properly funding the NYC to achieve its statutory mandate, particularly of national unification, the primary purpose for which the NYC was set up in the first place. Thank you.
And I think, Chief, to add, this bill was as a result of their own oversight. That was why they came out with this bill. And it has gone to the president. Just like the bill we just passed for custom. Little errors return to us to correct and take back again. So I will beg that we allow it go so that the needful will be done. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. Mr. Chairman, anything that deals with the condition of service of our young people should be given proper attention. And in this regard, in this wise, I believe that there should be funds sufficiently for NYSC. But it is also important that such defects that occurred, which led to Mr. President not signing, should be thoroughly looked at now. I share with your earlier indication that if the issue is that we go look at it properly, I think that deserves attention, because we just got it, and a cursory look at it. I've checked where the sources of the fund will come from, or the fund itself. I've not seen what is different from what we are doing now, like annual appropriation and the rest of it. So my own take is that let us do proper justice to it in order to solving this problem. I don't think there is any gain in saying we passed the bill and suddenly Mr. President finds some defect or returns it. I think there will be greater quality if we look at it and see how, if there are some areas that we need to cross the T's and I's, it will be done. And we can only do it in a very much more studied environment. Thank you.
I think the bill was returned based on certain observations, first by the Attorney General Office, secondly by the Accountant General, the Minister of Finance, and those observations have now been cleaned up, except that because of time constraint, possibly if we were to do justice was to highlight, just like we did the other one, bring out those other areas that were there originally and what the corrections are. If you want to have that one, we can step down the bill to allow that input so that you can put them side by side. At times, grammatical error is not so grievous, but then legislative drafting is something that has to go with every perfection as much as possible, because it's not going to be, eventually it will be a court or reference material either at the court or for the as an instrument for the institution to utilize. So that's why certain things are done. I can recall the bill, for instance, for Federal Medical Center, was taken more than 3 times the bill as sponsored. At times they will return the bill because of some grammatical errors or in terms of spelling here. I would beg that we step down, allow members to go through, so that tomorrow we'll take it again, so that we'll do justice. I beg for that. But it's good for us to do the right thing at the right time. The streams of our own people who are now hanging, and we know that the funding is not there. Let us not pretend to it. And so if there's other means and avenues for us to catch on and utilize to have proper funding, service, delivery, I think it's good we explore. Thank you. Consideration step down. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman, for your considered ruling. At least, as the leader said, my being long in this house has paid. There is wisdom, like I suggested, I prayed in alternative that because we've been served now, let us go home and look at it. And thank you for considering ruling, so we don't make that mistake. More so we can single out the areas that we are to clean up because funding is not there. For example, one of the clauses is asking for 0.2% of the consolidated revenue. That is, we'll do only NYC. That's a whole lot of money, 0.2%. So let us single that area. I agree with you. Thank you for considering. I'm grateful.
Well, it's not too much, but the number of persons who are graduating, take census of the public schools, take census of the private institutions, take census of the students coming out of from outside the country. It may not be too much. It may. Thank you. But my own take, let me advise chairman of committees. It's not just sufficient to return your bill on the floor of the House. It's for you to make concerted effort in reaching out to your colleagues and our colleagues when bills like that are returned, so that they will have the understanding. We are all human beings. You are bound to forget things, but when you are reminded, it makes the work easier. So it's for the committee chair to also understand the workings of the legislature, and that means lobbying, talking to people, not to wait until one will come here and then begin to argue with them. I said, that is not fair. Thank you. No, it's for chairman of the committee, and the deputy is here. So consideration step down for further legislative action. The third bill to be considered is for an act to provide for ease of doing business, to ensure transparency, efficiency, productivity in Nigeria, and for related matter. The leader is invited to give the synopsis of the bill.
Mr. Chair, and my dear colleagues,
It's already done by executive PRT. They now want to legalize it.
the bill before us is an executive bill for now to provide for the ease of doing business and ensure transparency, efficiency, and productivity in Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, sorry, Mr. Chair, the bill before us has it is meant to provide legal framework for already existing, practice in the system, and if properly considered and the recommendations accepted, it will make the process much easier. The recommendations are clearly stated from 1 to...
Well, colleagues,
22.
I think this is one of the achievements of this particular parliament. This particular bill that will pass, and for obvious reasons, because there were certain issues raised, the executive had tried to clean up those areas and return it back to us so that we can now pass it. That will be the summary and the summary. And I would beg that we do give it expedient action to pass. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Plus
the
one.
elucidation, Mr. Chair.
I will still also beg that Secretariat always liaise with leadership. Those who are supposed to be speaking on behalf, when bills like that are returned, take the observations to the office of the leader, who is responsible for now bringing out the highlights for members to understand. Let not be read look as if we are reading Greek. No. These two offices are key. I'm just using my experience to speak on the bills because I know the issues. And that's not supposed to be the situation.
Chairman, is that the leader should be seized of the facts. He should be seized of the fact. You are using your creativity, not experience. He should be seized of the fact, and if he's not seized of the fact, then the matter is found to solve.
Well, it's not his own fault. It is the fault I will consider.
No, it's not, I'm not saying
Thank
that.
you.
He should be briefed.
Thank you.
To
It
be
should
seized of the facts.
Immediately bills are returned. Those observations should be taken
Should
to
be
the appropriate office.
brought up to speed.
Thank you.
And if the reader is not
Thank you. Clause 1. And it is in the same manner. What was done here, I think they have just exactly done what like it was done in the custom bill. Brings
Mr.
out only the areas that have issues that have been
Mr.
cleaned
Chairman,
up.
Mr. Chairman, I saw some issues about the customs bill.
I think you can see Chairman Custom for proper briefing later.
No.
I'm just advising. I'm just advising. We are past that one, so you can
No,
see him for Chairman Custom.
This is law that my.
Thank you.
No, I don't need his explanation. That provision could be injurious.
No, it will not be injurious.
No,
there will be regulations.
No.
No, please, I beg.
No, I'm not going there. But what I'm saying is that the avoidance of the defect of what could be this thing, since it's not injurious.
No,
I want to be certain.
let me tell you.
I want to be certain that this one.
On that particular example, sir.
Yes.
I will beg that we allow it because it is not all. At times we come in with materials claiming it is for personal use, and you carry a quantity that is sufficient to go and stock a store. There are numbers of items you can carry for personal use. When you carry a container load and say it's personal use, if you don't allow this, we may be running. We are looking for money to save the situation of the country. I know you are a guru in that area. You reserve your distance. We are past that one. Let us, please, I beg. There will be more explanations. Do your best. Thank you. Clause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 12, 13 to 30, 31 to 67, 68, 69. Excellency Mamanda, long title. Thank you. Sir. Yes, sir. Move the motion for us to debate to plan to report progress.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and my colleagues. Mr. Chair, I want to especially thank you for that intervention. Seriously speaking, I feel very embarrassed each time I have to pick a document in this place that I know nothing about. It's not in my character, actually. You know, but there was this time you intervened in this matter in the past, and you directed that our offices, my boss's office and mine, should be given copies of this or a brief of this. But I never get that, actually. And when I get here and I have to start talking to a document I've not seen before, it embarrasses me, to be very honest. Thank you for the intervention. Mr. Chair and my colleagues, I move that this House do revert to Committee of the Whole to report progress. I so move.
Thank you.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, I second the motion that the House do revert to plenary to report progress.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. House is hereby to revert to plenary to report progress. Respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered a report on a bill for an act to repeal the Custom and Exercise Management Act Cap C45 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and other custom and exercise legislations, and enact the Nigerian Customs Service Bill 2022 to provide for the reform of the administration and management of custom and exercise in Nigeria and for related matters, and approve clauses 4, 7, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 11, 101, 165, 170, 171, 175, 180, 181, 184, 189, clauses 194 and clauses 279. The schedules, the long title, and the explanatory memoranda of the bill. Respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered a report on the bill for an act to provide for the for ease of doing business to ensure transparency, efficiency, and productivity in Nigeria and for related matters, and approve clauses 1 to 69, the schedule and the long title. Respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the bill for an act to establish a National Youth Service Corps Trust Fund for the purpose of providing sustainable source of funds for the National Youth Service Corps, skill acquisition, training and empowerment of Corps members, training of personnel of the National Youth Service Corps, development of camps and NYC formations and facilities therein and for related matters. Defer consideration for further legislative action. Leader, move for the adoption of the report.
Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, I move that the reports as presented by Mr. Speaker be now adopted. I so move.
Whip.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I second the motion that the House do adopt the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Move for the adjournment of the House, Leader.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I am Comrade Peter Ohyonzuji Akpatasin, MNI, 2006. I represent the great people of Akoko Edo Federal Constituency. I am from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I move that this House do adjourn to tomorrow, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I so move.
You said 12?
The House Committee Chair said 12.
Hmm?
No.
It's 12.
What about the time?
I take it again, Mr. I take
Thank-
it again,
thank
Mr.
you.
Speaker. Please, nobody should confuse me. Yes. When Rusa Committee Chairman said 12, I thought it was a communication between him and the Speaker. Please, next time, let me do what I'm doing. Mr. Speaker and my dear colleagues, once again, I move that this House do adjourn to tomorrow, 12th, by 11 a.m. in the morning. Mr. Speaker, I so move. I'm sure that is clear enough.
Leader of the opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Toby Okechukwu. I represent an area of
Is he obedient?
Mr. Chairman.
Did you hear that? That they are
Mr.
obedient?
Speaker,
Are you obedient?
Moni is not properly seated. He is pretending to be House leader.
No,
and I don't think I should second the motion to vacate the House if it's not properly seated.
Are you obedient?
I cannot, as leader of opposition, be discussing with the chairman of committee. Please, House leader, can you take your seat and let this man vacate? Mr. Speaker.
No, I want to hear the leader say he's obedient.
Mr. Speaker, I know the government, this government, APC government, has been sufficiently disobedient to Nigerians.
No, we are disobedient to obedient.
No,
but we are very obedient to our party structure.
I know our chaotic security situation, they have been very disobedient to the laws.
Security situation created by you, managed by us, and solved by us. He knows the content of the obedient. I want you to answer. Are you obedient?
You have no capacity. you have no capacity to rearrange the Oxford Dictionary.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You know, we have a lot of the half PDPs here. Yes, sir. Second the motion. Thank you. Second the motion.
It looks. I have ear problem. So, what did you say? Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm Toby Okechukwu. I hereby second that the House adjourns plenary till 11 o'clock tomorrow, 12th of October. I so second.
Thank you. Respected colleagues, once more a reminder that tomorrow, by the grace of God, we are going to commence the debate on the general principle of the budget submitted by the President. Reason being that we want to expedite action on it so that we can quickly finish the debate and commit the bill to committee of the various committees so that we can have their report turn in and do justice to it before the end of the year. So we want to beg that those who are interested should again submit their list or names to the clerk so that we'll be guided by the submission of members. Thank you very much for your cooperation always. I now put the question that those in favor that the House adjourn to tomorrow, 11 a.m., say aye. Against, say nay. That's it. Again, please, clerk, ensure the distribution of the speech of the President. Even if you cannot get the copies of the budget, let the speech of the President go around all members as a first step. Thank you very much. House hereby adjourned to tomorrow, 11 a.m.